Hello lovelies, you're welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thanks for stopping by and please consider subscribing. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. So today we'll be looking at an underbust corset, and I already have my pattern here. This is the front pattern. So I will place my upper bust measurement, which is 5.5 inches, and I'll rule a line at that point. That will help us when we are tightening the upper bust, okay, and then the yoke. Now, tightening the yoke, I realized that if I do not tighten, I will have a lot of gapping on the yoke, and most times if I'm using illusion net, it doesn't look nice. So the reason for tightening. Okay, the next thing, I'm placing half of my nipple to nipple measurement on my bust point, my under bust line, and the hem. That's to help me roll a straight line. So I'll be drawing the straight line all the way from the hem there up to where I have my bust point, and then I'll connect half of my shoulder measurement. I'll have to measure that after creating the basic neckline that I have there. So whatever remained, I divided it by 2, and then I connected it to the line I have on my bust point. Now the next thing, so that we will not have a pointy back up, so I'm going up and down the bust point with 1/2 inch, and then on my under bust where it is towards the center front, I'm placing 1/2 inch, and then I'll draw that 1/2 inch from my under bust to the hem, and then I will connect that 1/2 inch that I marked underneath the bust point. I'll connect it to meet that 1/2 inch. So for the other that manipulation, I'm using 1.5 inches towards the side front, and then I'll connect that 1.5 inches to meet the underbust line from the hem of the blouse to the underbust line, and I'll connect that 1/2 inch as well to meet that 1.5 inch, just the way I curve to meet the 1/2 inch I have towards the center front. So our cup is almost done. So the next thing, I want to tighten my upper bust, and on that I am using 3/4 inches. So I'll be connecting it to that 1/2 inch I have above my bust point. So with this now, our cup is formed. So that's the part I'll be cutting out, that manipulation. Now the next thing, I want to tighten the yoke, just like I said, to avoid gapping, and I'm using 1/4 inch on both sides of the nipple to nipple line. Okay, and I'm connecting it from my shoulder to meet that 1/4 inch on both sides of that line. And after that, I am trying to mark out the underbust corset. Okay, now that's the shape I want to take. You can make it straight, okay, but making it coffee makes it nicer. And that's the neckline that I have formed using the cuff part of my pattern master. I connected it to meet my bust point, and so I'll be able to manipulate that properly. Okay, I had to fold it, just what I have there, so I'll have the right point to connect it to my arm cuff. Now, for the part that goes towards the center front, you can extend it to your underbust, but I'm dealing with theme. I don't want my bust to show too much, so I had to work with my bust point. So now I want to place back my measurement. On my waistline, I'm measuring 1/4 of the waist circumference I have, and then I'll be replacing the dart that I took out, which is about 2 inches. And then I did not add the seam allowance. I'll be doing that when I'm cutting on the fabric. On the hip line, I am placing 1/4 of the hip circumference plus the 2 inches we took out for that manipulation, and I'll be connecting this line from the waistline that which I have. I'll connect it to that point which I have on the hip line. So obviously this pattern, I already added my seam allowance. That's why I have space. So for this part, I did not show my straight on the camera. I just had to connect my bust measurements that I already have to what I have on the waistline and the hip line. Now on the bust measurement, there was no need to, replace any any dart, but of course from the dart there, if you want to look at the chest line, there's about 1/4 inch taken out, and you can add that. That is if you did not add any seam allowance to your pattern. Okay, so for the Basque waist, I am going up with 1/4 inches, and then I connected it to meet the blouse length. Now, most times when I'm drafting a blouse, I'll take it to the blouse length, and because most times I don't measure the low waist, it helps me when I'm making a Basque top like this. Okay, Basque top that will be joined to a skirt later, so that I will have that low waist circumference, and I will not have too much excess. So I'm cutting out the yoke now, and you will have to fold your dart just the way I am doing in this video. Okay, so I'll be doing that, and then I'll cut out those parts that I marked. Okay, I'm cutting them out. Now for this underbust corset, from my underbust, okay, after cutting out the dart manipulations, the parts I marked, I will be dividing that side front into two. Okay, so on my waistline, I'll take out some darts. That's because I want to snatch it a little. So for the snatching, I'm using 1/4 inch on both sides of the line. Now that line, I had to divide what I have on the waist. For the side front, I divided into two, and that's the point I drew a vertical line to meet the underbust, from the underbust to the blouse length. Okay, so on that line, I am observing 1/4 inch on both sides. Okay, that's on the waistline. I'm observing 1/4 inch, but if you want to take out more than that, okay, you can use 1/2 inch. Though it depends on what you're taking out. You can use 3/4 inch. Now this 1/4 inch plus 1/4, I have a 1/2 inch, and I'm cutting this on fold. That will be 1 inch I'm taking out from the front bodies, and if I do the same thing to the back, that means I'm taking out 2 inches altogether from the normal waist circumference. So with this, I'm already taking out 2 inches. So if you want to take out 4, you can use 1/2 inch on both sides of that line. It depends on how much you want to snatch. Now I decided to use 1/4 inch because I'll be taking out 1.5 inches from that zipper part on the back panel later. Okay, that too will help to snatch it some more. So of course, at this point, we are looking at comfort as well, and not just the very snatch waist. So where of course the option is left to you and what you want. Okay, so I'm cutting out the pieces, and I have cup 1 and cup 2. Okay, so you will need to label these pieces so you will not be confused. Okay, for the yoke part, I'll just cut out my neckline, and then I'll cut out that manipulation. It is very important. Now when you're making a garment, great fitting is what we are looking out for. Of course, we learn to unlearn, and as you're sewing, as you're practicing, you will notice certain things, and of course you make amends. So for me, I noticed so much gapping. I noticed some excess fabric around there whenever I'm making a blouse with a yoke, so I am contouring that. And after cutting it out, I want to use this sellotape to gum it, and because I don't want it to mess up my pattern, I am making it on the reverse side. I will gum it together with this sellotape, bring the two pieces together, and then I'll turn to the right side. On the right side, it will look like I have sellotaped it, and then we can continue with our drafting. So this is what I have from the front pieces, for the front pieces, and I'm labeling them. Like I said, you need to label all these pieces so you won't be confused when you're sewing. Okay, so for the back bodies, I'm just taking out, measuring from the waistline, just like I measured, on the front panel. I'm measuring from the waistline about 5 inches downwards, and I drew a line, and I'll be extending my chest line just like I'm doing in this video. Okay, so I'll be manipulating my darts. So for my darts, I'm using 4 inches. That's half of my nipple to nipple measurement, and I'm adding half and then half again. So the midpoint I have there is on 4.5 inches, and that's what I will place on my chest line and the new blouse line. So I'll connect it from that chest line through the midpoint that I have on the waistline, and I'll connect it to meet the blouse line. And then I am taking out ½ inch on both sides for the darts, ½ inch on both sides for the dart, and on the hem there, because I want to tighten it some more. On the chest line, I am taking ½ inch on both sides, and I'm connecting it to meet the ½ inch that I have on the waistline. And on the blouse line as well, I took out ½ inch, just so we will not have excess. Okay, especially if you're doing an inbuilt corset, you will need to take out this ½ inch. If not, you have it popping out on your skirt part, and it doesn't really look nice most of the time. So for the mid back, I am going inwards with 1 inch, just so to contour the back and for a proper fitting. Okay, so that that indentation on your back. So this takes care of that, so that even if you want to use a zipper, you will not have any bulging around there. Okay, so for the side back, I'm just dividing what I have left into two. At that point, I'll draw a vertical line, and then I'll take out the ½ inch just the way I took it from the front panel. So I'm taking out ½ inch on both sides of that vertical line, and then I'm making another dart. That's for my snatching. Okay, so I'll take out, and altogether when you have to add up, I'm taking out 2 inches from this waist circumference that we already have. So that's the point. The part I'll be cutting out is where I have marked, I've shaded. And at first I wanted to use my front panel to get the same contour, the same side shape. But then I realized that, of course, the dots I took out on the back panel is not the same thing as the front. So I decided to place my measurements again, and then just replace the dots measurements that I took out from the back panel. So now for the waistline, I will place a quarter of the waist circumference that I have there, which is 36 inches. So I'm placing 9 inches, and the 1 inch I took out from the first dart, okay, I will need to add that, and these two that I add, quarter plus quarter, that's ½ inch. So altogether I'm adding back 1.5 inches on the waistline. So I'll connect that and extend the waistline. On the hip line, I'll do the same thing as well, placing 1/4 of my hip circumference, and then I'll be replacing the darts that I've taken out, just the other part. Okay, quarter plus quarter, that's ½ inch, and that's what I am adding. And from the bust line, I don't need to replace it because of course we are looking at tightening it some more. Okay, so now I'll extend what I have on my new blouse line and connect the dot at the side there, and that is what we have. So the next thing for the back yoke, okay, from the chest line, I just want to go down a little from the chest line. Okay, that's how I'm getting my darts, my yoke, the back yoke. And then if the keyhole I want to make, I don't want it too open, so I'm just gonna make it about few inches above the chest line. And then you will need to work with your dart position. You need to work with your dart position, so when you're placing it, it will be a lot easier. So I just use the cuff part of my pattern master and I place it to align on the, the dart leg I have, and then I created the keyhole. Okay, so that's it. And then I want to contour the yoke. Now, like I said, for great fitting, you need to contour. From my experience, I realized you still have some gapping, especially if you're using, a tulle net, which is stretchy. You will need to really contour this. Otherwise, if you're using a net that is not stretchy, of course, you can just leave it the way it is. But then I have to, take out that contouring just so I will have a great fitting. So I'm labeling the pieces that I have, the side back one, and I'm placing some arrows to help me in my direction when I'm sewing together. So for now, I'll be notching the zipper allowance, but of course later I'll have to take out what I need to make an eyelet channel. Okay, so these are my front pieces and those are my back pieces. So there'll be a sewing video of this, and if this video adds any value to you at all, please subscribe and stay tuned for the sewing part of this video.